Hi, welcome to Outland Woodworks. My name is Shane, and today we're going to be looking at installing the EWP-8365 cast iron right wing for the Harvey table saw, 52-inch 4 horsepower. So let's get to it. So apparently, this is the cast iron wing. They've typoed an L instead of an I, which I found amusing. It was pretty good for a laugh. Some tools that you're going to need, you may or may not need for the specific task. You're going to want machinist squares, always handy to have. I happen to have a 13mm and a 1/2 inch because I didn't have two 13s. 2 wrenches, your 6mm Allen. I do have a 13mm on a socket for convenience, if room allows it, a rubber mallet, and a straight edge, a machinist straight edge. This one's from Tay Tools. And I'll have links to most of this in the description. Tools you should have laying around. If not, pick them up at your local auto supply. So we're going to start off. Now this replaces the phenolic tops that come with it. There is a 14-inch phenolic top, and I think the other one is around 31.5, 32 inches, the other phenolic top that comes with the 52. But I've elected not to use the phenolic tops at all. I wanted to replace those with cast iron because I wanted a full cast iron top. So this is the direct replacement of the first phenolic piece that comes with the saw, which is the 14-inch. So let's get this out of the box and see what we're working with here. Clear a little of this out of the way. Need that just yet. Our 3 mounting bolts, which those do have nuts on them, which tells me this tabletop is not going to be threaded, but we're going to check that. I was hoping it would be threaded. It seems to be a box in a box. It sounded heavy. It is heavy. This packaging they put this stuff in is crazy thick. This, we're going to need a knife. Before I slide this out, I just want to establish the top of it, and the top is on top. These edges can be sharp, so be careful with that. Wear gloves if you're worried about it, which I probably should be anyway because my hands are getting absolutely greasy. That one's really oiled up. The other ones weren't quite that oily. Got a rag here. Wipe my hands off, and I'm going to go ahead and wipe some of the excess oil off of this. I like the oil being on it until I'm ready to prepare the surface, but that was a bit excessive. I'm going to take a dry part of this rag and I'm going to wipe off the mating surfaces. Just make sure there's no debris. And I am leaving these dry with just whatever came on them from the factory because I do want some protection from oxidation, but I don't want to put wax or anything on it because then that's going to compromise the friction fit of the component. So I am leaving it like that, and we'll see how that goes. There's also a bevel on these on one side, which can help you index which side goes where in case you're not sure about your holes yet. Now to install this, I want to do similar to what we did with the right wing, which is place boards under them and clamp them. I'm not sure how I'm going to do that with the reach that I have, but let me see what I've got laying around here and see what we can figure out here, and I'll be right back with you. All right, so we located a few tools that we can use to get this job done. I grabbed a couple of 4-foot skids that I had laying around, and I didn't have any clamps really deep enough to reach in around the rails, so I did find a couple of these C-clamps. The downside is they don't take the tension too well, but I've kind of checked them out, and they are, I feel very comfortable doing it with those on there. I did go ahead and check the flatness of our top. It's very close to dead on. There's maybe a couple thousandths here and there, but overall it's in really good shape. So the next step that we're going to do is we're going to take this over, slide it into place, and get it bolted up. Now in the extension wing, these are not threaded. In the top, they are threaded. Extension wing, they are not. So these are going to have nuts and bolts. There are 3 in here. These are the hex head, which take the 6mm from the set that comes with the saw. And here we have a flat washer and 1 lock washer, which is interesting because normally you want a flat washer, your medium, another flat washer, and then your lock washer. I think I'm going to leave the flat washer on the outside and do the lock washer on the inside. That way I have some sort of washer on both sides. No specific instructions came with this piece. Now again, this is replacing the it's a little over 14-inch phenolic wing that you get with the saw. And I, instead of doing cast iron, and take these off, leaving 1 flat washer on. All right, now we are going to take our top over and get it lined up and get these started. I need to grab this from the other side. And this is, like I said, maybe 75 pounds or so. Walk this up. And you're going to get filthy doing this, so make sure that your clothes, your wife isn't going to kill you, or husband, or whichever. Because we've already attached the rails, that's a very tight fit. Put that up. Holes right there. Sliding these in the slots. Just checking everything, taking a look, making sure everything looks right. We're way high over here. There we go. And then we're going to get 1 lock washer and 1 nut on each one. Alright, so what I figured out is it was not going to go with the bolt, the lock washer, flat washer. They just aren't long enough. That needs addressed. And I'll mention that to Harvey the next time I send over a message to him or talk to him. So I ended up taking the flat washers off, which I am not keen on. So we are going to grab our ratchet, a 13, and we're going to tighten these down a little bit, not too tight. And then we're going to come back and straighten this up, get this coplanar a little better than it is right now. All right, so we've gotten those just snugged down. Basically, we just took the lock washers and got them really close to being flat, which gives us a little bit of tension in between the two surfaces. And now we're looking at how flat this is sitting with the other table, how coplanar it is with the other table installed. So to start off, I'm going to use a machinist square. And basically what I'm going to do is very gently, I'm going to go from this side to this side, and I feel nothing. This side, and I'm hitting. So I know that I'm a little high, and I can tell that by feeling it, and you probably will too, if you have a similar problem. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my rubber mallet, and I'm going to go right above where this bolt sits, And I'm going to tap. And I think, because that didn't move, I think these boards I have underneath, I think this top might be a little bit thicker than this adjoining wing. That one came really close. Take a quick peek. Yeah, because the bottom where the two meet is flush. And this is not, so this wing is a little bit thicker than this one is. So we're gonna have to remove the boards, which is gonna put quite a bit of weight on those bolts, which is fine, they're snug down. Plenty of thread in the bolt. Feels like they are threaded pretty much. The bolt is threaded to where it's just hitting the end of the bolt. So they're all the way through the nut. So we're just going to loosen these up a little. So I'm just going to loosen them up enough where I feel that they start to give way, and I'm going to leave that. Just a little safety measure, something under it. I did cut some little scraps to put under those. You don't want to put metal on metal because it will not do your table any favors. Okay, and we're pretty loose there. So now let's see what we got here. Still high. Oh wow, yeah, that moved a ton. I hit it a little too hard. Yep, a little bit low. Tap it on the bottom a little. That is really good right there. Go to the other end. It's just a touch high. I'm gonna go ahead and tighten this one just a little more so that when I tap this side, this end doesn't drop on me. And again, I'm only turning the nut. I'm not turning the head side because I don't have a washer on that side. It's pretty firm there. A little bit of a lip. One right above that bolt. Just a light tap. That's pretty good there, so we're going to screw that one up. A little stuffed up. It is that season. The allergies will come out to play. I'm going to check our middle. Probably won't be a ton we could do with it either way, but check it. Feels good that way. It feels good that way. So overall, that feels really good where it's at. That looks good. Just before we crank those down, we are going to look at putting the bolts in the fences to make sure they're in the spot they need to be. That went in there just fine. I'm not going to be able to get the washers on the back with those boards in the way, so I'm going to go ahead and pull those off. So again, there's just some skids left over, which always come in handy. Piece of scrap wood. Not quite as much room to work with on this side. Okay, now let's put our flat washer, then lock washer, and then the nut on this side. Just finger tight. Remember, the back bolts and the front bolts are different. The back ones are round with a hex head, and the front ones are just regular bolts. Put this on this side. Flat washer, lock washer, nut. finger tight. I'm going to go ahead and tighten these down where these meet. And then I'm going to check for coplanar between this side and the end of this wing. The only way I'm going to be able to adjust any of that is with a little tension on these side screws or side bolts. So let's see what we can do with this. It feels, that is a touch. Just give that a love tap. And these are fairly tight, so it may not move. Oh, it definitely moved. Maybe a little too far. Yeah, I think we just went about that much in the opposite direction. There we go. That feels much better. Okay, good and tight this time. All right. Take our straight edge. We're going to check across the back, a couple places in the middle, the front. This way won't matter here. We already know this is flat. So we're going to check that real quick and see if there's anything out of the ordinary. I'll show you that. Otherwise, we are going to move along. Now with 2 wings worth of expansion here, we are starting to get a little heavy on the far side without supportive legs. With a couple pounds of force here, you can see that I can start to tip this table. And so I don't want to add the router table yet without also adding the legs. And we will see how all that goes together. So on the next video, we're going to be adding the RT800 router extension wing to all this and trying to straighten everything up and make it all nice and as flat as possible. So thank you so much for viewing this video. If you got anything from it, please give it a thumbs up. If you didn't like it, thumbs down. Consider subscribing if you like these kind of videos. And other than that, we will catch you on the next one. Have a good one.